Okay, so you're a liberal. What now? Don't know why that title popped into my head, but I thought it would be a great topic to discuss some of the BS that I've been encountering over the past few years, and that you all have as well, regarding identity politics. And it's reached such a ridiculous point that I feel like it's maybe in the decline a little bit. I think people are starting to see through it now. But to identify with a group is such a strong need for humans that they're willing to look past the humanity of other people and just assume that everyone's an idiot. There are entire YouTube channels, Twitter feeds, and etc. based on just making certain people look bad, whether it be libs of TikTok, for example, which where they just take out key moments of liberals being idiots, or where the same thing is happening the other way around. I self-identify as a liberal, okay, and I always have. And the reason this is important is because to know where I'm coming from here, you have to understand my mentality as I grew up, which I'm not going to go into detail on. I wanted to define liberal first. I had to write it down on real paper because I'm using my phone to record. So liberal, as far as which is interesting, the use as a noun, as a slur, has a totally different meaning. It's basically someone who is wrapped up in social justice issues. But liberal, by definition, says politically relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Which I can't disagree with any of those. Individual rights, that goes without saying. Civil liberties, of course. That's just making sure we're all taken care of and that we have equal rights. Democracy, sure. I mean, it's got its drawbacks, of course. Dumb people vote. But in reality, it's better than the alternative. And free enterprise, of course. That's the thing that's often left out. Letting businesses do business. But these terms have completely changed. The term conservative and liberal has changed. The meanings are useless these days. It's all semantics. And there's this idea that we need to identify so strongly with one side or another that everyone else is in the other team. And what's interesting is over the past couple days, we have this text thread going with my friends and I, two of my best friends, and they, we've known each other since we were like 12, 13. So we'll be talking about politics. My one friend is really far left. He believes in, he's more socialist minded, says he believes in like socialism would work. Then I've got my other friend who's full on conservative and is like do your own thing kind of guy. And I agree and disagree with both of them so often that it's such a great conversation because we can do it as friends without being total whiny little, bitches about it and getting mad. Now, I'll be honest, there have been times in the past, especially in, years past where I'd get into a text discussion or a conversation with somebody about politics, whether it's in person, online, or elsewhere, and they just can't handle it. They get all upset and start throwing around names and insults. This has happened to me so often that when I disagree with somebody, I'm very cautious about doing it in a way where I'll say something like, well, actually, I don't really believe that's the case. This is how I see it. And it doesn't matter. You get the ad hominem attack. Yeah, well, you suck, and, pointing fingers at the other person instead of the topic. The minute that somebody gets off the topic and points the finger at you, they've lost already. So it's often not even a discussion. But it is worth the discussion because we have to have these talks. I have to be able to sit here and tell you, as a liberal, I agree with a lot of the shit that many conservatives say. And the conclusion I came to with my friends, which was the last text I sent, was kind of more like a small novel. I tend to send long texts, very long-winded because I use voice to text, and I go for it. So apologies if you have to read that, friends. But my thought was that I said, we're so wrapped up in trying to identify left or right that we don't realize we need both. We need conservative and liberal ideas. The same way, dare I say it, that We need democracy, yet opposing authoritarianism in some regards. In other words, when you're working at a business and a bunch of employees maybe don't know exactly how to do the job properly, they haven't been there that long, and then you've got the business owner who's been doing this for 50 years. He is the authority. He's the authoritarian leader of that group. There's no democracy of this is maybe how we should use the machine, or maybe we should try this method. No. They don't have enough knowledge to actually determine. Now, there are instances where the employees know more than the boss, of course, but I'm talking about specific instances where there's a reason why somebody's in charge of something. The way we have military leaders in charge of the military and not just some Joe Blow off the street. Why we have experts that do certain tasks rather than just anybody. This has been infiltrated by all of our, the idea of equality and trying to balance everything out to make sure everyone's taken care of. And a lot of the expertise was kind of lost in the midst. And then we got into this debate about whether or not, what's ruining this country, right? Is it the people here, or is it immigration, or is it the liberals? Is it the lack of Christianity? Plenty of Christians will say that our lack of religion is what's causing this moral decay. Really, when you look at the big picture, we have a completely dim view of what's really going on out there. That everybody else is the enemy. That everybody wants to fight and argue with you. But for those who go out daily and talk to people, you find that they're pretty damn normal. The conversations I have in person with people, if something comes up that's a little controversial and nobody's just going to jump down your throat about it, they're usually like, kind of hold back a bit and avoid that large confrontation that might take place through text or online, where you say something stupid that you didn't come across the way you meant, and then you have to backtrack. No, if you're right there in person, it's face to face, you have your discussion, it's over, but you're less likely to get heated about these things. South Park did a great episode about that. I can't recall exactly what it was, but then I just had a flash of a dream I had that was about something like that, where it was about how arguing online was totally different than I met up with somebody in person and they were totally cool. I don't remember it, but these are things that happen all the time. That's why we have a false view of what's going on in the world, a false dichotomy, if you will, that you need to choose left or right, and it's ridiculous. The same way with choose religion or none. You can be spiritual. You can be somewhere in the middle. We need the middle ground. Every human mind, has two hemispheres for many different reasons. We have kind of a positive and negative, like emotions throughout the day, ups and downs. We're constantly fluctuating, trying to achieve homeostasis, which is that perfection. But that perfection even eventually becomes either positive or negative. There's always these competing energies. It's not hokey shit, it's just truth. There's always a balance. Everything has an opposite. And when we try to completely annihilate one of the opposites, you'll just find new opposites, new oppositions within that group. And so maybe we just need to listen to each other a little more. Maybe we just need to pay a little more attention to what other people have to say instead of trying to overtalk them and prove them wrong. What do you think? Let me know. Check out the 15-minute Free Thinking podcast as well in the description. The link's in there, and I'm going to be uploading a couple more of those today that I have kind of delayed uploading. If you want to support the channel, visit me on Patreon, where I upload some of my podcasts video format, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Give somebody a break today. You have somebody that disagrees with you online or elsewhere, just ask them what they mean and try to understand each other, because that's the only way out of this mess, and we're in a fucking mess. So I'll see you all next time. Be well.